Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Maria Burns. They say that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with only one step at a time. So I would like for this summer 2025 to start talking about your next step into your career and job search initiatives. As you know, I'm meeting with students in smaller groups in order to help you get this job and spread the word about job opportunities that exist. So I want you to know that you're in good hands. And without further ado, let us start with a short video about do's and don'ts and best practices about your job search. Without further ado, let us commence with the agenda. We'll talk about strategic selection of your job search, analysis of the job description, cover letter, resume tips, general tips for success, your roadmap to success comprises 4 important components. Number 1, know thyself. This comes from an ancient Greek temple. One of the 7 sages was about knowing ourselves, and the more you know your strengths, the more successful you can be, the happier you can be, because you know who you are, where you want to go, and then the strategy, how to get there, will be secondary. But the first step is, do you know which companies you want to work for? Do you know what career tasks would make you happy? Do you want to work with people? Do you want to work with data and numbers? Do you prefer to work for the government or for the industry? In all honesty, in discussions I've had with many of my students, sometimes you may not know this. So this is a great opportunity. As you watch this video, think about where you want to go. Second, select your career strategically. Remember that you can make a decision now that is going to be like a shadow or like you will have to live with that decision for the rest of your life. So make decisions knowing that your decisions will have many months of impact or many years of impact. Then this is information that you definitely need to work on. I know that the vast majority of our students or students in general are using AI for many different purposes. Make sure that you edit your resume and your cover letter to be job specific, company specific. Sometimes students put a lot of effort into creating the perfect resume and the perfect cover letter, only in an effort to make a shortcut and save time and get to that job as soon as possible. They forget to make the application job specific. And this is why I believe it may cause delays in your job success. So try to put some extra effort. Let's say half an hour extra per application is going to bring you to success much faster. Last but not least, positive thinking. Sometimes we are conditioned by our environment or society norms to believe that we will have a hard time getting to our dreams. So get rid of any predisposition and just start afresh. Have faith in your dreams. You need to be the cheerleader of yourself, not only your mentors, like we want you to succeed. We are here to help you. But foremost, you have to be your #1 cheerleader. You have to believe in your skills, because in life, sometimes you may find naysayers or people that may not actually believe that you can go so far and so fast. So you have to just follow your gut instinct and have this positive thinking as your mantra. Say to yourself, I'm ready for my dream job. Like, this dream job is going to come to me fast and easy, and it's going to happen, period. It's going to happen. Phase 1, resume optimization. Remember, the content and structure is extremely important. Some students may lead with a strong summary. Make sure that you have 2-3 lines highlighting your degree, your key skills, your career objectives. So the summary is very important. And to be honest, 95% of the resumes that I receive from our students don't have this summary. And then students may say, oh, I was told that it's not fashionable anymore, because yes, this is true. Resume building can be subject to fashion, but I'm telling you, have this summary there, because you need the recruiter or the AI to know exactly who you are, your background, in just an elevator pitch. So write these 2-3 lines, okay? Then quantify achievements. Use your numbers if possible. For example, if you have a good GPA, this is my GPA. And these are the results. I improved the company's revenue by blah, blah, blah percent. My team size increased because now I was, such a good leader, such a good project manager, such a good team builder, that I was capable of increasing and working in large team sizes of blah, blah, blah. I volunteered to this particular organization for so many hours. So try to measure and quantify everything you have achieved. Or, I have 20 plus, certificates. I'm just saying certificates, by the way, that's a good question, because you can have some certificates, but don't waste months and years of your life in purely pursuing certification. The market is competitive out there, so you'd better start applying and certification will follow, okay? Or you can do it concurrently. Next, try to list 4 to 6 courses which are most relevant to your target roles. Now, the TLIM program is blessed. We have courses in project management, innovation engineering, finance and budgeting, leadership, teamwork, quality management, emergency management, HR and technology. The sky's the limit. So try to identify courses which are either a jack of all trades, or if you're applying to specific jobs that are very pertinent to one job, to one course in particular, put that course on top, okay? Then highlight your technical skills, create a section for all the software, all the programming languages, analytics, and so forth. Include the relevant experience. Sometimes we have students that have pursued a particular chapter in their careers, and now they want to change chapter. They want to veer into a new direction. For whatever reason, you have to adapt your application for a particular job and only include particular experience. For this reason, it would be good if you had 2 or 3 different versions of your resume for these different paths that interest you equally. So you can add internships, jobs, research projects, courses, group projects. All your relevant experience has to be included in that particular version of your resume. Then you need to sound like an authoritative, confident action hero, okay? For this reason, we start a lot of the bullet points in our resume with a verb. I developed, I implemented, I initiated, I collaborated, and so forth. Make sure that your actual experience is reflected, because sometimes, I implemented, if you have never worked before, it may sound like, too big, of a statement. So try to align what you've actually done, your work, your internships, and so forth. Then you can say, I implemented, I did analyze, I managed this project, and so forth. Show impact over duties. So sometimes students have worked so hard in particular jobs, and they are tempted to write in detail all the different duties that they have accomplished. I get it. But many times what the employer or the recruiter, the HR manager wants to see is directly the impact. So it's one thing to say, I worked for 47 hours a week, I worked really hard, I worked overtime on this task and the other task. What your work was about is one point, but you, most importantly, want to focus on the impact of that job. So instead of saying, I worked long hours, you have to say, I achieved to build the clientele of my company by 10%. You see, the outcome, like all this hard work must lead to something, right? What is that something? What is your impact? Then include academic projects. Treat particular projects like work experience. So this is especially true for students that don't have much of an industry experience or government experience. You need to put some projects from different classes. And this is going to help you tremendously appear knowledgeable, appear like you're an expert in particular sectors, even though you've never worked in these companies, in those industries, or in those tasks, okay? We move on with the content and structure. So we mentioned your summary, your resume has to underline your degree, your skills, your objectives, most importantly. Now, I have seen students that in one sole version of a resume, they say they put different career objectives, and that can be very confusing, and that can delay you. Because HR managers want to see that you were born for this job positioning in, you're the one for this post. You're the one for this job, okay? You don't want to say, my career objectives are to be a data scientist, HR recruiter, journalist, social media expert. Like, don't put all of these things like a variety of skills. Try to narrow down your skills. Exactly, that's why I mentioned you should have 2-3 versions of your resume. So your career objectives have to focus either on an industry, or you want to say, I want to be a project manager, or I want to be an operations manager, and so forth. Whatever that job title is, try to be as narrow as possible. Let's move on now to the research target companies. Many times in class and in one-on-one mentoring sessions that I have with you, I ask you to give me a list of companies, anything from 3 companies, 5 companies, and so forth. You can make the list, you can expand that list up to 20 or 30, like have it as your personal list. Where would you really want to work for? Think about the geography, like is it here in Houston, or is it in Austin, is it in Dallas? Think about, is it going to be in person? You will work within the company in your own office, or you will work remotely, and so forth. Think about the industry type. Like, I want to work for an energy company, but I mostly care about the futuristic energy types. I'm not so interested in, like oil. I just want to work on LNG, for example, or I want to work on alternative energy. So try to narrow down what would excite you, because this is the best way to be really focused on something that is meaningful to you. Then read reviews on Glassdoor, know things about the company. For example, I've heard about Google that, like you're allowed to bring your pet in your office, or you can work remotely if you want. So these are just some perks. You can bring your child, to the company, something like this. So try to think of the company culture, because I'm telling you, if you want to build a solid career in the particular company, and I'm sure you want stability in our turbulent times. Know about the culture before you enter a particular field, okay? Then try to understand their needs. I have to be honest with you, many times when I speak, especially with the younger students, they can get the opportunity to have a job interview or even an internship. And when they're asked, like, what do you think about our company? What do you know about our company? What do you know about their latest project? The students are saying, well, I'm not sure. I like your company in general, but I don't know the details of your projects. Like, don't appear like you just want any job. Don't appear like you randomly select some positions to apply for. Appear very passionate, enthusiastic about the particular company, the particular position, the particular geographical location, and so forth. That's why you should be able to understand their needs. That's extremely important. I would say 80% of our students or 80% of young people tend to make one version of a resume, no cover letter, which in my opinion is unacceptable, no thank you note after receiving any email from the company, which again can be unacceptable. So let's go to the basics, okay? You definitely need to customize your resume for the particular position. In the same way that if you are arranging a trip to go to Paris or London or whatever, you are going there for a particular destination, for particular reasons, sightseeing and so forth. So you know exactly where you want to go. In the same way, I want your resume to reflect what the company you're applying for wants from you. So you have to adapt your resume to the company. I will never ask you to lie. You will not lie about your credentials, but you definitely have a very rich life and a background in your work, your internships, your studies, even your hobbies, your skills, the certifications you've taken. So there's so much you can discuss. So the version of you that wants to apply to an energy company, that resume has to be energy industry specific. If you want to apply to a football team, or you want to be their media manager, then your resume has to be different. If you want to be working in Alley Theater, Houston, you want to be their business development director or media person, again, theater, that's another industry, a different resume. You get the meaning there, right? So don't have a cookie cutter resume. You can waste months and years of your life going in circles because companies now are using artificial intelligence and they will only consider to shortlist applicants that are really focused and the perfect match for the particular position, particular industry. Okay, so you need to adjust your summary, put some bullet points to emphasize how your experience is aligned. In a perfect setting, you would look at the job description on one hand with all the bullet points of what they want from you, and you would address each one of the bullet points to a realistic perspective, okay? So if you're just in your very early 20s, you're not going to say, like, I manage a team of 100. That would be a lie. But you can say, you know, you can adapt everything to your age, your expertise, realistically, in a way that it can be believable from the employers, okay? Any keywords from the job posting. So what I would do if I were you, I would highlight in an electronic version the keywords from the job posting that are aligned to what I've done and who I am, okay? Then you modify your technical skills section. You need to highlight what the particular company is using. For example, this company is looking for SAP, particular software, you need to adapt that particular element into the skills section. Okay, like I know all of that. I know Python, I know RStudio, Tableau, whatever. And we move on to the cover letter. So you need to start with an opening paragraph, like an introduction. Dear Sir, Madam, I refer to your blah, blah, blah vacancy found on LinkedIn, whatever, and I'm attaching my resume. Body paragraphs, why you're interested in the company. So my skills perfectly match that job for the following reasons, like give them 2-3 bullet points. And most importantly, how you can contribute to their goals. Sometimes, especially when we are really eager to start our career path, we forget that the company have goals too. Like our goal is to get that job, but the company has goals to be successful by hiring you. They want you to be a part of their success. So explain to them how your skills can contribute to their goals. Some students may feel that this current job market, with the general turmoil, in the stock market and blah, 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 you may feel a little bit insecure. So let me just make your day. Your skills are much needed. You are tech savvy, unlike people that are twice your age or so. So this is a huge benefit you have. You have fresh ideas. Your ideas are not saturated from doing the same thing over and over again for decades in the same company. So you have this fresh perspective. So when you go to this new company, you can be the fresh breeze that they are looking for. So never, ever, ever underestimate your skills, yourself, your background, because what you've got, you're taking for granted. But what you've got can be pivotal for a company's success, okay? So try to think real hard how your unique skill sets can be wonderful for this particular career and that particular company's goals, okay? And then a closing paragraph, show enthusiasm, like I really look forward to hear from you and be considered for an interview for your, for that position. Show your enthusiasm. You need to customize it to optimize your chances of getting that job, okay? Contact 3, 4, 5 people and tell them, hey, I'm applying for this position. Here is my updated resume, and the company is going to contact you. Follow your instructions exactly. So when a job opening is asking you to do things in a particular way, like we need 3 references. When they ask you a particular format, like your resume needs to be a maximum of 2 pages. We need a separate document with a list of your references and their contact information. Like focus on the instructions, because I've noticed that a lot of people are so eager to get that job. Like, your adrenaline kicks and then people don't follow instructions. And then you wonder, like, how come they rejected my application? Well, was there anything there, any particular instructions that you failed to submit? Customize your LinkedIn. Okay. There is a category of students that are very active on LinkedIn, and that's wonderful. There is a category of students that may not have a LinkedIn account. Sometimes people forget to update their LinkedIn profile. So you keep on, adding, like, thumbs up, you're active on LinkedIn, but then we forget to adjust our LinkedIn profile to what we've done recently. Try to catch up with LinkedIn, and I would say be very cautious of your other social media accounts, because I know you have personal lives. I understand that maybe you want to be very active on social media, but when recruiters consider you and you're shortlisted, it's very likely they're going to check with particular software, particular AI-generated apps. They're going to dig deep into your social media. So be cautious, okay? If some of your hobbies or some of the things you're posting there should not be read by the recruiters, be very mindful. And then, of course, track your applications. You know that for most job openings, there is an opportunity for you, and then you need to track and make it as a habit, you know, like once a week, I'm going to check and figure out, you know, what the status for this particular application is. Next, remember, as a follow-up, be unstoppable. Remember, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I know firsthand, but I also know from my students, you can often apply for one position, then maybe a month or so goes by, nobody notifies you, and all of a sudden, the HR recruiter can reach out to you and say, you know what, we have a different position, same company, better position, more money, better level, you know, like in terms of the corporate pyramid and so forth. So remember, keep in touch with that recruiter, because when you're the squeaky wheel, you will definitely have more chances of being into their mind when they want to really hire someone, like urgently, okay? Never forget to send a thank you notes. Bad, okay? If you meet recruiters at career fairs or networking events, always, always, always send thank you notes, okay? It shows character, it shows professionalism. You definitely need to be under the, you know, within the radar, not under the radar. You need to be on the spotlight, like, hey, we can work fine, and I will appreciate your time and effort and all this. Follow up appropriately. So at least 1 week after application deadline for most positions, what I would do, I would try to not only thank them, but also find an article about their company. Like, hey, I just saw front page news, your company has done something amazing. And by the way, I applied for this job. Do you have any updates on this? You know, I'm really interested in working for your amazing company, okay? So, of course, the articles you have to find have to be positive, nothing disastrous about what that company has been up to. Continue networking. So keep up with networking. This is very important, because if you have a friend which is within the supply chain, within the network, the business network of the particular company, you have many more chances of bumping into those connections, and then you can get promoted. So applying for the job is one step of your strategy, but your long-term strategy is those stepping stone initiatives that are going to help you do better and better and better. And then, of course, be prepared for interviews. Let me tell you, I do understand that sometimes we focus so much in actually, you know, sending those job, you know, the package, applying for jobs and so forth, that we forget that the interview itself merits a separate preparation. So as you can see in this image, the young men and women are dressed professionally. Now, I'm not implying you just have to wear black and white, but, you know, I would say have your business suit that is appropriate for a business setting. And you can call it my lucky business suit, something, you know, like my dream job suit, something like this. So have it there in your wardrobe and be ready for that interview. And remember, you can make much more impact with a nice dark colored suit, I would say, And yeah, sometimes less is more, like something, that is simple but very impactful. So I'm just mentioning this. You don't have to spend a fortune on this. There are a lot of shops here in Houston or here in Texas that have amazing deals, very good prices. Most importantly now, prepare for the interview and research particular questions. You can ask the help of AI. You can think about it. You can read about the company and create your own smart questions. Ideally, the questions you're asking will not be generic. If they notify you from a company, like, hey, we are Hewlett-Packard Enterprises and we have an interview for you, in 2 days. The first thing you want to do is check what they're up to. What have they done in the past month or 2 months or so? And then draft questions like that are aligned with those news, the new direction of the company, the recent strategy of the company, okay? So you can combine AI help, but also customize your questions for that particular company. You can ask AI, what are the most recent articles or initiatives of that company? Fortunately, we have AI and you can do things faster, but you need to use your brain as well. Let me now mention some common mistakes that applicants make. Number 1, sending generic applications. It may not lead you anywhere, okay? Second, vague reference to the actual job description. Like, you focus so much on who you are and what you know how to do best, and then we ignore what the job is asking from you. So right there, you are just distinguishing yourself, like, I'm not going to collaborate well with that company. That's the message we send them, okay? Because I don't care what they're asking for. I'm just going to tell you who I am. So that's not going to work well. Generic AI-generated resumes and cover letters. No. Not following instructions. Bad. Not having quality references. So quality references is something subjective, okay? I would say have a list of references. You're a TLIM student, you're a TLIM alumni, alumnus or alumna. Use me as your reference. Use your faculty, our faculty as a reference. Speak with us. We need to be prepared, but hey, let us know that you're going to apply for this job and you need our help. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, please reach out to me for any questions you may have. I look forward to hearing about your success. And go Cougs!